Leaked jail calls just flipped the entire rap game upside down. Young Thug caught on tape throwing dirt at Gunna, disrespecting Kendrick Lamar, calling Gucci soft, and even dragging Lil Durk behind his back. The streets are in shock, fans are divided, and legends are firing back. This is the rawest drama hip-hop has seen in years. Stay tuned because we're about to break down every scandal, every diss, and every secret Young Thug spilled from behind bars.
Getting all the damn verses to this man. What the hell you doing, crazy? All that fake. I ain't getting no rapper song shit. I don't be liking them type nigga like that.
Why?
These niggas get too big. I don't want to do no feature. Why? Why you don't want to do no feature? Why wouldn't you want to do a feature for a superstar? Like you ain't like goddamn Strict calling you for a song. You know, like
right.
You really got Lil Durk calling you for a song. Lil Baby, Thug, real superstar calling you for a song. Why wouldn't you do the song? We lit, nigga. We going number 1 too. What you thinking? You know, it's just like I don't be understanding that type of shit. Supposed to be a nigga who blessing it. That's why them niggas will never be bigger than Drake ever in life. Put somebody on. It's okay to run you a few hundred M's up, but who you help though? You ain't really help nobody. It's the saying. You did all that shit for nothing. You ain't help nobody, nigga. You ain't really gaining no fans off of you. King ain't big. King love hell, man. Can't sell no ticket. Watch out. Like, man, watch out. I truly believe you do a song on me, Wham, Dirt, Moneybag, Savage. I truly believe we'll have your ass dope, trending, like, so it's gonna be like people in the real world fucking with you, not the goddamn, not the rap world. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be real players and cool lit bitches and players and shit like that fucking with you. Them type of people ain't fucking with you. You gonna get like the real streets and the real people fucking with you. You gonna get the East Coast fucking East Coast ain't fucking with you, bro. You really trying to keep all the blessings to yourself. You really trying to keep everything to yourself. You really sit in the studio and work on the album and don't put nobody on the album. Like, God damn, bro, you ain't gonna f with nobody? You ain't gonna bless nobody? Bullshit king? Like, but it's like...
Man, the rap game been shaking heavy lately, and at the center of all the noise sits Young Thug with them infamous leaked jail calls. It's wild because this ain't just small gossip. This is Thugger himself, locked up and dropping all kinds of messy talk about his peers. And once the world heard it, the internet went crazy. Now, for a while, Young Thug has been going after Gunna, saying straight up he sees him as a rat after the whole YSL Rico trial drama.
I mean, that's cool because he didn't get what he wanted. He wanted a feature. I'm explaining to Thug why that didn't matter. What you represent to Drake ain't what you represent to us. And you got to know that. Like, what you represent to Drake ain't what you represent to us. Don't none of us give two about no another street. I can't do no song with no in this business that's gonna give me cultural cachet.
But should we be shocked about Thug's attitude towards the situation? The nigga wear dresses, like a nigga who acting like a young lady in the situation, and who wear dresses, like he act like a hoe in that situation. He didn't get his way. Now that nigga just saying bullshit.
But that was his private conversation. But just the thought, I'm just really being honest with why it's different for us, homie. Like, we don't need you for that. We don't need Wham for that. We don't need 21 for that. Like, and yes, I'm speaking for Dot. I'm speaking for J-Rock. I'm speaking for Q. I'm speaking for Show. I'm speaking for all of us that really came up the hard way in the streets, that got our own reputation and our own cultural cachet. We don't need y'all for that.
That word rat is heavy in hip-hop. It can end careers, but here's the crazy twist. Instead of ruining Gunna, it actually boosted him. Folks started spinning his music more, supporting him harder, like they flipped the situation upside down. It was the opposite of what happened to 6ix9ine, where rat talk destroyed his street rep. For Gunna, the rat accusations just made him hotter, and Thug had to sit back in frustration while Gunna kept winning. But while Gunna's stock went up, Young Thug's momentum started slipping. The world was hyped for a massive comeback from him, and what did we get? Weak returns and not much buzz, except for these chaotic jail calls.
Budden gonna do it right. Budden with everybody. You know how many niggas like Drake chain? How many niggas can take care of their family because of Budden? Just like straight with you. Kendrick goddamn put it on. You're a superstar. You don't ran up you a few hundred M, but you ain't put nobody on though. You see what I'm saying? You ain't even put Keem on. Cause the shit on him doing this shit ain't really doing that. You probably with me, Wham, Dirt, Savvy. You probably with us. You probably calling us like, hey man, I want y'all young niggas on my album. I'm on some player shit this time around. I'm on some player shit. Like, come on, man, god damn. I don't know though. These niggas be crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully he do the song though. If he don't, I ain't really giving no damn.
We'll still be good.
Yeah, over good. Continue being rap, man. You know what I'm saying? Continue being rap, man. Stay supportive.
Yeah.
Put my album cover or something, man. Stay supportive, man. All that. I ain't posting no pictures 6 years shit, man. Watch out. Nigga don't care about all that shit, man. Nobody don't get no about none of that. I guarantee you, your first post you post, that motherfucker gonna do 1 million or 2 million likes. You can get out in the next 16 years. You not finna get on here and get no 100 million likes on your post. You not Kim Kardashian, man. So whatever you call yourself doing with your internet, and if you just want to prove like, oh, I won't be on the internet, what is that proving? What they do? What you do? Instagram is meant for pictures, man. Post your picture, bro. Or just delete your Instagram. I think it's the rarity though, but.
And these calls weren't just harmless venting. Thugger was spilling the tea on everything. Streaming bots, payoffs for chart spots, shade on Gucci Mane, sneak disses to his producer Wheezy, and even calling the Migos a money-losing group. And get this, he had the audacity to say Kendrick Lamar needs him for clout. That's right, one of the most respected lyricists alive, and Thug is out here acting like Kendrick's career depends on him. Fans and industry heads couldn't believe their ears when that piece of audio leaked. See, the beef really started when Thugger tried to sabotage Gunna's first album from jail. His master plan, drop his own album at the same time, stuffed with superstar features. Drake, 21 Savage, Future, Lil Baby, Travis Scott, Lil Uzi, the whole A-list lineup. He even wanted Kendrick Lamar on board, but Kendrick don't just hop on anyone's project for the sake of it. He's selective, and when he passed on Thug's offer, Thugger took it personal. Kendrick was saving his one feature of the year for something that truly fit, and he ended up locking in with Future and Metro Boomin, which was the smarter move. That rejection burned Thug so bad he started ranting in calls saying Kendrick ain't as big as Drake because he don't co-sign young rappers or flood his IG with features. But that's not how Kendrick plays the game. His focus is quality, not clout. The backlash was instant. Fans called Thug delusional and the streets started debating heavy. Who really sits higher, Kendrick or Drake? And while that storm raged, more of Thug's private convos kept leaking, making him look worse by the day. In one call, he even shaded Lil Durk, a guy who's been close with him for years, saying Durk was slow sending in a verse. Keep in mind, Durk was one of the first dudes to publicly back Thug against Gunna, and this is how Thugger repays him. The disrespect had people questioning Thug's loyalty. That's when Durk's camp, like OTF, Twin 300, clapped back, calling Thug nothing but a gossiping dude who once wore dresses and makeup, saying they could never trust someone like that. It added fuel to the fire, painting Thug as a hypocrite, fronting like a street general but playing telephone gossip behind bars. Meanwhile, West Coast voices came in strong, defending Kendrick and firing shots at Thug.
You can't give us no cultural cachet. It's actually, honestly, it's kind of like at the core of street urban culture, it's frowned upon because you wearing dresses. Don't get me wrong, the niggas who ain't tripping, that's getting high, that's partying, they gonna be like, oh, you got the Thug feature? That's solid, G, that's player. But at the essence of it, the solid stomp down, you know what I mean? They gonna be like, oh man, you fuck that nigga wearing that dress, man. Really, they gonna be asking you if this nigga like men. You get what I'm saying? That's how
Glasses Malone and OG with ties to Kendrick made it clear Kendrick don't need cosigns from Atlanta or any other city. He's built his own cultural empire rooted deep in West Coast authenticity. Glasses even reminded folks that Kendrick don't need street cosigns. He got respect from the hip-hop heads, the thinkers, the global audience. If Kendrick suddenly started chasing features with Thug, it would weaken his position, not strengthen it. He doubled down, pointing out how Thug's early career was confusing, wearing dresses, trolling Wayne, sparking beefs, all while claiming to be this tough street figure. To a lot of people, Thug always came across like a walking contradiction, and now these leaked calls just prove he's messy behind the scenes too. But not everybody wanted to crucify Thug. Some people, like TDE's Keem, not Baby Keem, but another affiliate, argued that we should remember these were private conversations. Thug didn't think the world would ever hear them, and he was clearly in a bad mental space, locked up, betrayed by friends, paranoid about his career. Keem's point was, we can't take everything he said at face value because it was coming from a place of anger, fear, and vulnerability. And to be real, that part makes sense. Jail will mess with your head, and venting on the phone to friends or family ain't the same as an official statement. Still, when you're Thug and you know calls are recorded, why risk it? That's where even dudes like Joe Budden stepped in, saying Thug shot himself in the foot by talking too much, knowing the system could snatch up every word. And Joe wasn't lying. Thug went beyond personal rants into exposing industry secrets. He was talking about QC getting bought out by Scooter Braun, accusing P of QC of being a rat, exposing how labels use bots to juice streaming numbers, and throwing shade at Gucci while still calling him a friend. That kind of double-sided talk don't sit right with fans, and it makes it hard for other artists to trust him in the future. Even if some folks excuse it as venting, the damage is done. Think about it, what's Drake supposed to think? Drake gave Thug $1 million when he got out, and now Thug's out here dissing artists Drake has close ties with. That's career suicide in an industry where relationships are everything. And let's not forget, Thug's shade wasn't just toward Kendrick or Durk. He even implied that Kendrick only had the nerdy hip-hop crowd behind him, not the street dudes or the lit women. That line had people laughing and dragging Thug online. Kendrick's proven time and again he can lock in with Atlanta artists. Look at his collaborations with Future and Playboy Cardi. He just ain't gonna jump on any rushed mid-quality project for the sake of it. That's the difference. Kendrick's patience keeps his legacy clean, while Thug's desperation exposed him. By this point, the narrative was spiraling. Thug went from a rap icon fighting a RICO case to a messy gossiper making enemies with every leaked call. From Gucci to Durk, from Wayne's legacy to Kendrick's respect, his words painted him as unstable and ungrateful. And while he tried to claim he's the glue holding the rap game together, people saw it different. He was the glue to the fake drama, the foundation of chaos in the community. Now, the fallout from these leaked calls didn't just stop at Kendrick, Gunna, or Durk. It spread like wildfire across the rap game, pulling in voices from every coast and every corner of the culture. The West Coast versus Atlanta energy turned into a whole debate about who really carries the crown and what authenticity in rap even means these days. People from Cali like Glasses Malone held it down for Kendrick, pushing back on Thug's claims that Kendrick don't touch the streets. Glasses said point blank, Kendrick don't need street credibility in the Atlanta sense. He's built his own lane with his own culture, his own foundation. To collaborate with Thug would have felt backwards, especially when Thug was moving like a troll in the early days, wearing dresses, calling his boys hubby, all while claiming he was the toughest dude out. It ain't about judgment, it's about consistency. And Kendrick's been nothing but consistent in building his brand as the thoughtful, high-level lyricist who doesn't rely on cheap gimmicks to stay relevant. But that didn't mean the entire industry lined up against Thug. Like I said before, Keem and some others reminded fans these were supposed to be private convos, not press statements. And that's an important angle, because imagine if every rapper's private jail calls leaked. We'd hear all kinds of wild things. People in a dark mental place dealing with betrayal and paranoia. They vent in ugly ways. Still, most rappers know better than to get reckless on jail phones because they're recorded. And that's where Thug's slip-up feels different. He wasn't just venting, he was spilling business secrets, dragging names through the mud and planting seeds of division in the community. Even Joe Budden said it. You're not just talking personal life, you're spilling tea about the industry. That's why it hit different, why it caused this giant mess. Let's break down one of the biggest contradictions, Thug trying to call himself the glue of the rap game. On the calls, he claimed that without him, the rap community would fall apart. But think about it, how you the glue when you're dissing Gucci Mane, the guy who gave Atlanta its modern blueprint? How you the glue when you're disrespecting Lil Durk, who publicly defended you against Gunna? How you the glue when you're shading Kendrick Lamar, a Pulitzer-winning rapper respected globally? And how you the glue when you turned your back on Lil Wayne, the very guy who inspired you? That ain't glue, that's chaos, that's self-sabotage. And Durk's camp didn't take it lightly either. OTF Twin 300 blasted back, calling Thug a gossiping clown, saying straight up, "I'll never trust a guy that put on makeup and a dress." That line spread like wildfire on socials, with memes clowning Thug's past outfits and his flip-flopping image. Thug tried to fire back, saying he paid top lawyer Brian Steele to help Durk with his case and that Durk should be grateful instead of bashing him. But Durk's side clapped right back, saying they don't take money from rats. Now let's be real, nobody officially labeled Thug a rat, but the way he's been spilling dirt on everyone from Gunna to QC's founder P made people wonder if that title fits. In a culture where loyalty means everything, running your mouth that much is dangerous. It makes folks question if they can trust you at all. Meanwhile, fans started connecting dots in Thug's career, like this ain't the first time he disrespected legends. Back in the day, he went at Lil Wayne, mocking him, naming his mixtape after Wayne's classic Carter series, even when Wayne threatened to sue. That move made Thug look like a troll hungry for attention rather than a student honoring his idol. And now, years later, it's the same cycle, throwing dirt on names bigger than him, then acting shocked when people push back. Some folks even compared him to 6ix9ine, not in terms of snitching, but in terms of messy antics, trolling, and burning bridges just to stay relevant. That's not a comparison you want hanging over you in the rap world. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. Thug wasn't just gossiping about artists, he was exposing how the industry machine works. Talking about bots inflating streams, about how Gunna's #1 hit was allegedly bought for $50K, about Scooter Braun buying QC, about shady behind-the-scenes plays, stuff the average fan suspects but rarely hears confirmed. And by putting that out there, Thug might have thought he was flexing knowledge, but what he really did was break trust. Labels, artists, managers, nobody wants to work with someone who runs their mouth like that. He basically cut himself off from future collabs because now any studio session with him feels risky. What if you end up as the next name dragged on a jail call? Then you add in the fact that 21 Savage was on some of these calls, staying cool but also negotiating shady deals, like telling Thug he'd still co-sign Gunna, but only if he got 80% of Gunna's profits. That ain't exactly loyal either. It showed the cutthroat nature of the industry, where friendships get mixed with business and money talks louder than morals. 21's stance was seen as solid by some because he wasn't outright calling Gunna a rat publicly. But at the same time, what kind of friend demands most of your profits in exchange for silence? That detail made the whole situation even messier, proving that behind the glamour, this rap circle runs on power plays and backdoor deals. Through it all, the loudest takeaway is that Thug's image took the biggest hit. The calls made him look like a messy, paranoid, untrustworthy figure who flips on allies and trashes peers out of frustration. And the timing couldn't be worse. He's fighting a RICO. His freedom on the line, his career hanging in the balance. Instead of fans rallying behind him as a fallen hero, they're side-eyeing him like, is this dude really who we thought he was? Loyalty matters in hip-hop more than anything, and once people think you ain't loyal, it's nearly impossible to repair. And while Thug tried to spin it like people bashing him were hurting the rap community, most fans saw it differently. The real damage came from his own words, talking behind backs, disrespecting legends, and treating allies like enemies. The irony is wild. Gunna, the guy he tried to destroy, ended up thriving, dropping music that the streets embraced, while Thug sat in jail making himself look smaller with every leak. That reversal of fortune might be the cruelest twist of all. Now here's the kicker. While all this chaos from the leaked calls had fans clowning and rappers clapping back, the bigger picture is what it reveals about the state of the rap game today. See, hip-hop always thrived on competition and beef, but it's different when the smoke comes from private convos that weren't meant for the public. That's what makes this Thug situation unique. Normally, beef starts with a diss track, a Twitter post, or an interview. But here it was, jailhouse calls spilling everything raw. No beat, no filter, no PR team cleaning it up. And because of that, it exposed a side of the game we usually only hear rumors about. For fans, it was like eavesdropping on the uncut version of how rappers really talk behind the scenes. But the problem is, once those words are out there, they can't be taken back. Think about Lil Durk's loyalty. He was the first big artist to stand up and say Gunna snitched, siding with Thug publicly. Yet, behind bars, Thug was calling him slow, unhelpful, basically downplaying their friendship. When Durk's crew found out, of course they snapped. That's why OTF Twin 300 went so hard, calling Thug a gossip queen, saying he could never trust someone who dresses up and plays both sides. And even when Thug tried to flex by saying he hired lawyer Brian Steele to help Durk out, Durk's camp hit back that they don't take help from someone moving like a rat. That back and forth showed just how fragile alliances are in hip-hop. One wrong word, one moment of disrespect, and years of loyalty can disappear overnight. And it ain't just Durk. Thug's loose talk touched Drake, Gucci Mane, Migos, Lil Baby, and Kendrick, all names with massive influence. Take Drake, for example. Dude gave Thug $1 million when he came home, showing real love, yet Thug out here gossiping about Drake's peers and sneaking shots at the same industry circle Drake's tied to. What happens the next time Drake has to choose between loyalty to those peers or loyalty to Thug? That trust is cracked now. Same with Gucci Mane. He's Atlanta royalty, a pioneer, and Thug called him soft on a jail call. Fans in Atlanta weren't feeling that. It's like Thug forgot that without Gucci, there might not even be a platform for artists like him to shine on. That's how deep the disrespect cut. The Kendrick Lamar angle is where fans got most heated though. Thug claimed Kendrick needed him for clout, that he only had hip-hop nerds and West Coast fans behind him, not the streets or the lit girls. But the receipts tell a different story. Kendrick doesn't just sit on the sidelines, he chooses his moments carefully. He teamed up with Future and Metro Boomin to drop one of the most talked about collabs of the year. Then he went off with Playboi Carti, creating multiple tracks that lit up the internet. Those moves showed Kendrick ain't anti-collab, he just knows when to step in and make history. The fact he didn't jump on Thug's Rush project says more about the quality of the music than anything else. And fans respected that, which is why Thug's words felt bitter instead of truthful. On the flip side, people did sympathize a little. Jail is a dark place, and you can't expect someone fighting a RICO case feeling betrayed by friends to always speak logically. Keem's defense hit that point, saying Thug's anger and paranoia played into the way he lashed out. But even with that excuse, it doesn't erase the damage. In hip-hop, perception is everything, and the perception now is that Thug is messy, untrustworthy, and maybe even jealous of those who kept rising while he's locked up. That's a stain on his image that no lawyer can scrub away. And let's not forget the Joe Budden angle again. He broke it down perfectly. Thug wasn't just venting, he was giving away industry secrets and burning bridges. Talking about bots, chart buying, QC being sold. It's stuff the public already whispers about, but once an insider like Thug confirms it, it becomes headline news. And that makes everyone nervous. Managers, labels, execs, they don't want rappers around who might spill secrets on the next call. So even if Thug beats the RICO case, he might find himself blackballed in the industry because folks won't want to risk the drama. That's the long-term damage people don't see yet. Another angle, this whole saga exposed how fragile the rap ecosystem really is. We like to think of the rap game as built on loyalty and codes, but the truth is, it runs on shaky alliances, money, and clout. Look at 21 Savage on those calls, basically telling Thug, I'll stand by Gunna publicly, but I want 80% of his profits. That's not loyalty, that's extortion disguised as business. And when fans heard that, it broke the illusion that these guys are family first. The reality is, everyone looking out for themselves, and the calls just pulled the curtain back on how cold it gets. And here's the irony. Through all this, Gunna came out looking the strongest. The guy Thug tried hardest to destroy ended up dropping music that charted, gaining more fan support, and surviving the rat label stronger than before. Instead of crumbling like 6 Ice 9 in, Gunna flipped the narrative and let the music speak. That's why people say this whole saga feels like a backfire. Thug's attempt to crush him only made him bigger, and that right there might be the biggest L of Thug's career. At the end of the day, what these calls show is that hip-hop ain't just about music anymore, it's about image, trust, and survival. Young Thug was once seen as the creative innovator, the guy who pushed boundaries, who made Atlanta the epicenter again, but now with his words leaking everywhere, he looks less like a visionary and more like a messy character tearing down the same community he helped build. You can't claim to be the glue while ripping apart every piece around you. Fans, artists, and even labels are watching closely. And it's clear, Thug's future in rap, even if he beats his case, will never be the same again. And that's the real tragedy here, because under all the gossip and beef, Thug is talented. He's influenced a whole generation with his sound, his style, his risk-taking. But when the world pulls back the curtain and sees the gossiping, the disloyalty, the contradictions, it leaves a stain you can't wash away. Whether he bounces back or fades into being remembered as the messy rapper who couldn't hold his tongue, that's the part still being written. But one thing's for sure, these jail calls didn't just expose young Thug, they exposed the whole industry, and the cracks can't be ignored anymore.